Hey guys, Marsegin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to talk about Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker Vegito, his link set, his links that he has, what they do, as well as talking about some of his best partners you will run him with, and some of the suggestions for teams that you can run him on. I did already put out one earlier for the Super Saiyan 3 Rose, so if you haven't seen that one and you're planning on summoning for the Heroes units, do go ahead and check that out. Now, obviously, I said this in the video for Rose as well, like, these units do have restrictions for being run with certain allies. However, those restrictions are still somewhat manageable to be able to make other teams that you can use them on. So we're going to go through some of those suggestions now, and you guys let me know what you think down below in the comment section. If you do find any of the information helpful at all, do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and yeah, let's go ahead and jump straight in. So Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 VEGITO has Super Saiyan, Shocking Speed, Prepared for Battle, Power Bestowed by God, Fused Fire, Saiyan Roar, and Fierce Battle. So, pretty good link set for a Super Saiyan 4. He's going to share a lot of these links with some of the other big Super Saiyan 4 units. Power Bestowed by God is a very common Vegito unit, and then he does have Shocking Speed and Prepared for Battle. So with that and Fused Fighter as well, he has multiple links that can give him Ki. Thanks to the link level update, those do obviously give a few extra stats at level 10 as well. Saiyan Roar, like many of the Super Saiyan 4s, is going to be one of his better links. 25% attack and 10% defense is definitely a lot. Fierce Battle is 20% attack, and then obviously Super Saiyan is 15%. Power Bestowed by God is 10% when performing a super. So he's on a lot of categories: Heroes, Giant 8 Power, Fused Fighters, Crossover, Batara, Full Power, Time Travelers, Final Trump Card, Battle of Wits, Defenders of Justice, because it is the Xeno, Goku, and Vegeta. So technically, is it in his name that he is Xeno Vegito? Because technically he should be, right? Yeah, it is, right? So Xeno Vegito, so he's in Defenders of Justice, Time Limit, Accelerated Battle, and Power Beyond Super Saiyan. So when we look at his link partners, you can see his two best link partners straight off the bat are the original Super Saiyan 4 VEGITO, like normal Super Saiyan 4, not Limit Breaker, and funnily enough, the AGL Super VEGITO. Now, Super Saiyan 4 VEGITO here shares every link with him except for Kamehameha. What does he have instead of that? Shocking Speed. So this is a good link set. And remember, post EZA, this Vegito will be giving 60% support to crossover Giant 8 Power allies as well. So he is giving him an absolute ton of stats here. It's what are we talking, like 30, 35, 60, 80% attack from links, as well as 60% support. So these two together as a rotation are going to go absolutely ham. There's a bit of defense in there as well, 20% in total from links, and then obviously the 60% from support. So just far and away on almost every single team they share, this guy will be his best link partner, right? 6 links, 60% support. You really can't ask for a better link partner than that. So it's pretty good that Vegito's EZA is definitely looking like one of the good ones out of the batch. So he's going to be the go-to link partner, and you can see here these are all the categories they share, which is almost all of them. I think it's what, Accelerated Battle and then Full Power are like the only two that they don't share. So very, very good. And unfortunately, AGL Super Vegito, I mean, unironically, he can still tank normals in some events, but he is basically useless now, right? So we drop down to 5 links, and we have LR Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Obviously, he is going to be a very strong contender, being another very powerful Super Saiyan 4 unit. Just released on Global, so if you did get lucky, summoning for him and are going in for the Heroes units as well. Super Saiyan, Shocking Speed, Prepared for Battle, Saiyan Roar, and Fierce Battle. So a lot of good links. Like Goku has GT, Vegito has Fused Fighter, but they share Shocking Speed and Prepared for Battle, so not going to have to worry about Ki. Saiyan Roar obviously there for the defense buff, and then even with their main, like even ignoring the little bits they get from the Ki links, they're still getting what, 60% attack from links. So definitely a very, very solid pairing there. We also have the normal Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who could still be somewhat runnable in some events. Now, an interesting one to take note of for the future is the STR Vegito. So they're going to share Super Saiyan, Power Bestowed by God, Fused Fire, Prepared for Battle, and Fierce Battle. Now, obviously, this guy, we're kind of waiting for him to get an EZA. But once he does, then they could be an interesting combo. The only thing you have to bear in mind, of course, is that with Vegito, he wants to be on rotation with a giant 8 power or crossover ally, so you could still run him with a unit who isn't one of those, and then make sure every other unit on the team that's floating is one of those, so he gets this extra 100% attack and great chance to launch an additional super. However, you have to remember his crit chance and extra damage reduction is only when all allies in the same turn are giant 8 power or crossover. So that is something you have to bear in mind when thinking about link partners. If you're going to run him with a non-crossover or giant 8 power like Vegito, he'll never be able to have that extra damage reduction, which is one of the things that makes him so good. Like post super, with his intro damage reduction still up and still having 30%, he could still be pretty good. But in the harder content, you probably are going to rely on that extra damage reduction. So you're ideally going to be looking for crossover or Super Saiyan 4 allies. When we drop down to 4 links, we have units like the blue Vegito from the Worldwide. Obviously another very powerful unit, but going to suffer from that same issue, not being giant 8 power or crossover, but definitely still a solid option. We have Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Broly. Obviously he is a crossover and giant 8 power character, so those two together will be able to do a bit of work. Obviously Broly has more so extreme links, so they're just sharing Super Saiyan Prepared for Battle, Saiyan Raw and Fierce Battle, so probably not an ideal link partner, but depending on which heroes units you have already and which ones you end up pulling, he could definitely be an option. And an interesting one that I look forward to doing, exploring more in a video, is of course the LR Super Saiyan 4s. So you can see here they're going to share Super Saiyan, Saiyan Raw, Shocking Speed and Fierce Battle. So decent set of links, obviously including Saiyan Raw. They are a giant 8 power ally, so obviously you're not losing anything out of Vegito's passive. And then of course once they transform into Gogeta, the links don't change, but this guy becomes a very, very powerful unit. So on that full rotation of giant 8 power characters, because unfortunately you can't mix them, it's like the full power Goku from last year. But if you have Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Vegito in slot 1, this guy in slot 2, and then have another giant 8 power character in slot 3, Vegito has 60% damage reduction with his intro still up. Then this guy in slot 2, remember, gets damage reduction with rainbow orbs, is massively jumping up in defense when he super attacks, and has a 50% chance to counter supers. So that rotation is going to be very, very strong. Definitely looking forward to trying that out in a video. We also have the Tech Gogeta here, so similarly to the STR Vegito, when he eventually gets an Easy A, that will be kind of a fun rotation. The Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4s from last year are here, which will be interesting because Goku specifically, with the damage reduction that he has, he's a unit that has never really been good in slot 1, even though out of the 2 Limit Breakers that we got last year, he obviously seemed like the one more designed for slot 1, but he needs to get his attacks off first. So the rotation of him next to Limit Breaker Vegito in slot 1 definitely could be very effective. And then there's a couple of other crossover units on here. We've got like the Vegex, he's going to Easy A next year. Int Fusion Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, he obviously will Easy A sometime soon, which will be quite interesting. So yeah, there's quite a few units on here that could be interesting, but remember, it's always got to tie back to giant 8 power or crossover if you really want to get this guy's full potential. So I think it's going to be very fun running him on the Heroes team, of course, and then running him on like a giant 8 power team, because if we drop down to his 3 link partners, you see here some of the usual suspects of the top superclass units in the game. The Blue Boys, the 8-year LRs, Vegeta and Trunks. The only problem, of course, again, is that these characters are not crossover or giant 8 power. Now, I will experiment. We will do videos. I don't think he is necessarily unusable without that last part of his passive, but I feel like he definitely becomes not a slot 1 unit at that point, right? Because if we look back to his passive, he's getting a lot of his extra defense and stuff after he super attacks, because he gets 150% on super. As long as you have one other ally, like I said, you could be running a rotation of like, you know, let's say LR Vegeta and Trunks. LR Vegeta and Trunks in slot 1, this guy in slot 2, and then just make sure all of your floating units on the team are crossover or giant 8 power, then obviously one of them is going to be on rotation with him at all times, and then he's going to get that extra 100% attack and defense and great chance of launching an additional super. It just means he's never going to be able to get this last part of his passive active. So after he's super attacked, his defense is going to be very high, and he's going to have 30% damage reduction as long as the intro is still up. But you have to remember that that might mean he's going to take big damage from enemy supers, but I don't think that makes him completely unusable. So those are some of the best link partners. As you can see, as we start to get down here, we've got a couple of crossover units, like the newer Heroes units, the Rose, the new Vegeta. Some of the older Super Saiyan 4s are here as well, but his best link partners are certainly going to be mostly the Super Saiyan 4s. Some of the other Vegitos and stuff you're going to be able to do reasonably well, but not be able to get his full passive active. So he has some strong link partners for sure. Obviously he comes gift wrapped if you already have Vegito or you're going to be summoning on the EZA banner. The fact that he comes gift wrapped in this celebration with a perfect partner who's also providing 60% support is definitely pretty crazy. So then when we take a look at his 200% leaders, he does get a 200% leader skill from Sword of Hope Trunks, the Blue Boys, Fusions of Masu, STR Carnival Goku because of Battle of Wits, Rose, and then obviously the bottom 4 are all like the Heroes leaders, right? So on the bottom 4, you're going to be able to get his full passive active if you build the team correctly, basically every turn. And then obviously the guys at the top, you can only really, I mean, you can get his full passive active if, say, for example, you ran him on a team led by the Blue Boys, and then had a different friend leader, potentially. Because obviously they could be on one rotation and he could be on the other, and so he's only ever going to be on a rotation with full crossover or giant 8 power. Those kind of team builds will absolutely be possible as well. So speaking of the actual teams themselves, obviously Dragon Ball Heroes is going to be the #1 go-to. That will be his best team because he will always have his full passive, because everyone on the team is a crossover character, and multiple characters that we've listed already are going to be sharing a ton of links with him. So this is going to be by far his best team. Any of the units from the previous years that are still usable, whether they're the EZA ones from this year or the previous ones like Xeno, Goku and stuff like that, they're all going to be units that function decently well on this team and are still providing the allies that he needs in order to have his full passive active. Now for other teams, obviously we talked about Giant 8 Power. This is his next main go-to team. Obviously there will be, whilst you won't be running them on rotation together, because as we've seen in the previous section, they're not exactly link partners, but any of the Giant 8 characters are obviously on Giant 8 Power. They're just not going to be good link partners for Goku. However, most of the time these guys do at least have Saiyan Raw. So any of these Great Ape characters that have like Fierce Battle and Saiyan Raw, that's at least 2 links that they're going to share. But obviously his best link partners are going to be the other Super Saiyan 4s. But the full Super Saiyan 4s team, it's kind of been a good meme team, always been fun to run for like gimmick videos and stuff like that. Everybody loves running teams full of the Super Saiyan 4s, and now after this celebration they will be even more effective than ever before. And then last but not least, I do think a case can be made for fused fighters, because on a fused fighters team, if you're running the actual GT duo as a leader, then obviously Vegito's not going to get their full 200% leader skill because he doesn't have Kamehameha. But, you know, there are some of the other characters on here that he will be able to link reasonably well with. Obviously other Super Saiyan 4 Gogetas, as much as some of them are starting to age out now. But we do have all of the other fusions from either Dragon Ball fusions or previous Heroes ones, who are of course crossover units as well. So at this point, apart from the leaders themselves, I might do that as a video, you could quite easily bring these guys as a leader and then make a full team of crossover fused fighters, and that will certainly be very, very interesting. So there's definitely some options to be had here, and next year for Heroes we should be getting the EZAs for a lot of these other fusions, like the Gohanks, Vegeks, some of these other characters. So this could be quite an interesting prospect for the future, but definitely a team that could be made that could actually get through some of the difficult events, especially with the right luck. So we definitely will be trying out some videos of those. So that is going to be it for this breakdown here. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section of our boy Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Vegito. I know people are disappointed that these new units have any sort of conditions at all, but for me personally, I wanted to run him on a Heroes team or a full Super Saiyan 4 team, and those are the 2 teams that he will absolutely dominate on. So I am very much looking forward to getting this guy and using him. I will be live to summon for the units when the banner comes out. I'll be live probably about half an hour before, so hopefully I will see you guys there. We will be going all in to rainbow all the new units, so let me know all your thoughts down below. Will you be summoning? Who will you be running Vegito with? What kind of team builds are you thinking? Let us all know down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.